Who can file for a name change in Oklahoma? I'm Tulsa Attorney James Wirth, and we're talking about name changes under Oklahoma law. And the question is, who can file one? And the statute's pretty clear on that. In the statute that we're dealing with here, it's actually Chapter 33 of Title 12, and it's sections 1631 through 1637. That's the change of name chapter in Oklahoma law. And it says that any natural person, so that's the first part. Natural person. What does that mean? That means that it can't be a legal entity. So this is not a proper procedure for an LLC changing the name, or a corporation, or a nonprofit. This is for a natural person. So any natural person, that's the first requirement. Second requirement is been a resident of the state of Oklahoma for 30 days prior to filing, and a resident of the county in which they file for 30 days prior to filing. All right. And then the last requirement is that they cannot be subject to the Sex Offender Registration Act. Okay, so who can? Any person who's a resident of the county for at least 30 days who is not subject to sex offender registration. That's who can. Which means that minor children can file to have a name change. However, they don't do it themselves. They do it through their next friend or their guardian. And what's the next friend? That generally is going to be the parent that files on their behalf. Now, there are extra requirements that aren't in the statute when it's a parent, because the other parent or other custodians or other people with rights to the child have potentially have constitutional rights that must be accounted for. So there's common law that requires that, even though it's not in the statute. So it does have to be notice given there. But for answering the question of who can file, it's pretty simple. Oklahoma law is very broad. Anybody can file for a name change as long as you're a real person and you live in the county and you're not required to register as a sex offender. If you've got questions about that, how to go through the process or anything else, we do have more videos that we're going to go over that covers each part of that process and a lot of those questions. But if you want to talk to somebody about your specific circumstances, you're going to want a private consult with an Oklahoma attorney. And to schedule that, you can go to makelawEasy.com.